Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway for the BMF title is going down in Las Vegas, Nevada, and this matchup has the potential to not only be Fight of the Year, but we could be in for one of the craziest and most exciting fights of all time. As both fighters are coming back from very impressive wins, with Max in his fight against Dustin Poirier and Charles with his last one getting a submission over Gamrot, showcasing there are still two of the very best in the world after both are bouncing back from getting knocked out by Ilia Topuria. And what makes this fight so interesting is we have one of the most dangerous fighters of all time in Charles Oliveira, who is most likely the best submission artist in UFC history, someone who only needs one moment to completely change and end a fight. And then on the other side, we got Max Holloway, who is one of the most durable, high-volume strikers we have ever seen, with the most significant strikes ever landed from a fighter, and it's not even close. This is going to be a clash of styles, pressure versus precision, danger versus discipline. Oliveira is going to always be coming forward. That's what he does. He's aggressive, he takes risks, and he's willing to get hit if it means creating an opening. And early on in this fight, that's where things get interesting, because Max is going to have to be perfect. One mistake or bad exchange, and Oliveira can completely flip the fight in his favor. But if Max can survive the danger early on and stays composed, sticks to his head movement, and starts to build his rhythm, that's where we can see Max start to take over. The pace starts to increase, the volume builds, and the constant pressure breaks you down. We've seen it happen before. So does Charles drag Max into deep waters, or will Max start to take over in the later rounds? Let's break it down. First, early on is where I see Charles going to be the most dangerous at in this fight. He likes to come forward right away in his high guard Muay Thai stance, and he applies pressure from the start. He's at the best when he can make the fight chaotic and when things get messy. Charles does a good job at throwing combinations and mixing in knees that creates openings for him to go for the takedowns. And when he gets the fight to the ground, that is where he is most elite at. And this is where Max is going to have to be sharp. He can't allow Oliveira to create those openings, but he has to stay disciplined, use his footwork, which in my opinion is some of the best I've ever seen in the UFC, to put himself in the best positions and avoid getting backed up against the cage. And if he's able to do that, he should be able to stay out of the danger early on. And then later on, maybe in late round 2 or early round 3, that's where we can see Max really start to find his rhythm. The jab will start to land more, the combinations will start to flow, and the constant pressure from Oliveira will get a little bit less effective as time goes on. The big difference in this fight is going to be the output. Max throws at a pace that most UFC fighters just can't match. He has the most strikes landed ever for a reason. And with Oliveira, historically, he is willing to take those shots to give a shot. But against such an elite and volume striker like Max, that's just a bad trade. Because every time Oliveira goes to step in, he's going to get hit. If you go watch his last couple fights, like against Gamrot, yeah, he got the submission win. But on the feet, he was getting tagged over and over again. And he's not on the same level as Max Holloway is when it comes to the striking. Not even to mention the fight before that, which really wasn't even that long ago. He got brutally knocked out by Ilia Topuria. And now I know Max might not have the same power as someone like Ilia, but those shots start to add up. Just look at what happened when he dropped Gaethje at the end of the 5th round. We have just seen it so many times. His cardio, his volume, and his ability to keep the same pace throughout the entire fight, it just breaks people. And those championship rounds, there is very few fighters in the history of the entire sport who can separate themselves the way Max Holloway is able to do. And not to mention for how dangerous Charles Oliveira is, we have seen him take a lot of damage that's changed the outcome of fights in the past before. It's going to be easy whatsoever for Max Holloway at all, because it's not. If he gives even one takedown, or if this fight goes to the ground at all, it becomes a completely different fight. And that's where we'll see Charles Oliveira have the upper hand. He is just so controlling and very fluid when he's on the ground. The way he can chain submission attacks together is something we've never seen before in MMA. And just like Max, Charles also holds a record for the most submission wins in UFC history. So this fight is going to be dangerous for both guys. One mistake from either one could decide who this winner of this fight is. But in my opinion, with this being a 5-round fight, I just believe Max Holloway has what it takes to beat Charles Oliveira, and I'm going to predict he does it pretty convincingly, outpointing him throughout the whole fight, just like he did in the Gaethje and Dustin Poirier fight. He's just damn near impossible to finish, and I believe that Max Holloway has enough experience to where, even if Charles Oliveira does eventually get this fight to the ground, Max will be able to protect himself enough not to get submitted. He will be able to control the distance, landing at a high rate, and we could see Oliveira forced to take big risks throughout the fight. If he doesn't, he'll just fall behind. And at such a high-level fight, it's going to be Max Holloway getting his hand raised at the end. This is going to be one of the most anticipated matchups that I honestly can't wait to see how it plays out. But now I want to hear from you guys. Who do you guys have winning this fight? Do you think I'm completely wrong and Oliveira gets the finish? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe. I've got more fight predictions and UFC content coming out every week. I'll see you guys on the next one.